Hi everyone, this is Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk and Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours. Welcome, it's March the 19th, 2018, start of a new week, big week I think energetically, and what I feel like I want to do today, and I've been drawn to do today, is look at some world leaders in terms of anything that I can pick up with regard to their energy. So this sort of started as an idea last night, and I thought I was actually going to be tuning into individual countries, and that may well be another video that follows on from this, but this feels as though it needs to come first. So what I've done is I've actually printed out some photographs of the people that I plan to ask Spirit about. And when I say Spirit, I'm a channel for the archangels, the celestial realm and the galactic realm. So primarily my main guide is Archangel Metatron. I'm sure he's going to have something to say on a lot of these people. I also have Archangel Michael here, and I've also got Archangel Raziel as well. These are the people that I'm going to be tuning into, not necessarily all on this video because there's quite a few of them, but we're going to do a part one. This is the first guy that we're going to be looking at, Vladimir Putin, who is coming in head and shoulders above any of the others that want to be looked at this morning. So we're going to be looking at Putin and Russia. I've also printed, and the reason I printed out photographs is I find it much easier to tune into somebody when I've actually got a face in front of me. Got Justin Trudeau of Canada. We have, of course, Donald Trump. I've tried to choose photographs which are actually kind to them, because sometimes in the media, the media want to portray these people in a certain way, and they'll choose really ugly photographs. So don't want to. We're looking at an accurate picture of them, and also an up-to-date picture of them. We've got the UK Prime Minister Theresa May. We have the Chinese President, whose name I cannot say. Sorry about that. We've got Prince William. I wanted to look at Prince William. I'm looking at Prince William because he's more going into the future. Whether you like him or not, he's a figure that's here to stay in our world. And I've also got Obama, and the reason I'd like to look at Obama again is because I feel that his job is not done, whatever that means. And so we will look at him. But as I say, the one that's coming through very strongly first is Putin, and we're going to look at him. So this is my image of him, just so you know what I'm looking at and what I'm going to be tuning into. So I'm going to put it down in front of me. Before I start, I just would like to say that I've cleansed the space that I'm sitting in. I have protected myself so that I'm only working with the highest level of light and being able to channel that through for you. Also protecting myself from anything that is out there in the ethers, as it were, attached to any of these people. And what I'm very strongly wanting to say as well is that every single one of these people, and indeed many other of the world leaders that I could have chosen, it's just these were the first lot that wanted to come through, they are all basically working for, well, actually the best way to describe it is through colour. There's this bottle that was winking at me today in my house, and it is violet over lime green, and it's Archangel Raziel. And I just want to read you the message that goes with it, because it's a perfect illustration of what all of these guys represent. Let me just get because I'm not familiar with the bottle. It's not a system that I've ever taught or a soma. Here we go. So the words that come through, it says, I knowingly participate in the unfolding plan of the earth. I knowingly participate in the unfolding plan of the earth. And it says the transmutation of conditioned patterns, allowing the revelation of inner wisdom as the gold is refined out of the raw materials. When situations or circumstances seem to be collapsing, Archangel Ratziel encourages us to find the strength to establish a new sense of well-being, new hope, not based in anticipation of the future, but a positive attitude towards establishing one's future by the way we do what we do now. And it's about dissolving old patterns of victimhood and unhelpful identities. Now, whether you like these people or not is completely and utterly immaterial to what we are doing now. You're being asked to just let go of all of what you know so far about these people, because all of them are serving our planet at this time in terms of the dissolution of the old. And at the end of the day, the leaders that we get reflect who we are and what we are collectively and individually within our countries as well. So the whole thing about pointing fingers and sort of saying, I don't like them, they've done this, don't you know this about them? At the end of the day, they are there because they're meant to be there at this time. Now, Putin coming in as the number one energy that wants to be looked at this morning, and I have already asked whether I've got the higher self's permission of these people to take a look, and I'm being told by Metatron that if I haven't, nothing's going to come through. So it'll be very clear, okay? Putin, there's a load of stuff coming through, so I know that we've got permission to look into this. Yeah, it's interesting because as of today, there's just been the election, hasn't there, in Russia, and it's been reported he won with a 79% majority, which is pretty unheard of in a democracy, but we'll take it as read. There may be some raised question marks about that. It was funny actually, because coming in to do this video, what I was going to do initially was a bit like a lucky dip. You know, I was going to put their names into a pot and just draw them out. And I nearly did that. And then when I was thinking about it, I was just thinking, okay, and I'll put Putin's name into the box. And then he was like, I don't want to be put into the box. You know, I don't play the game like that. So it's like, I'm going to be heard whether they like it or not, you know, so you're not putting my name in the box. I'm coming out first. So I thought that was quite interesting. So it's like forcing himself to the fore, which is what he's done for another 6 years. So I'm going to try and set aside my own conceptions of these people that I'm looking at, and we're just purely going to go with what comes through from Spirit. I've got some tools here to help me. I've got some cards that I might dip into. I've got some sprays. I haven't got loads of sprays, because I don't think I need loads of sprays. I've basically got the Archangel Metatron Attunement and Connection spray. I've got the Archangel Michael spray. I've got the white spray. And I've also got some very powerful crystals which have been out all night in the snow, and they wanted to come and help us today as well. I will just tell you what they are. I've got a beautiful rose quartz Merkaba, which is really humming. I've got a piece of amethyst, which has been out in the snow all night as well. And I've got the piece of cathedral quartz, very, very powerful. I'm going to use this for Putin. And I've also got my galactic being. Okay, the reason why I'm smiling and saying I'm using this for Putin is it's quite a phallic crystal, isn't it? If you look at it, I've never viewed it in that light before, but that's what it's looking like today. And he is a very masculine alpha male man. Okay, we all know that about him. So this crystal's actually talking to me a lot about his character, because of course the male energy, the patriarchal energy, has ruled the world, hasn't it, for millennia. And we are now at times where the divine feminine wants to rise. And it was actually quite noticeable today when I went to print out photographs and I was just tuning into Spirit in terms of, well, who do you want me to talk about? I was really struggling to get the women in there, even represented, which is why we got Theresa May. I could have picked Angela Merkel, but for some reason she wasn't coming forward. I was really struggling to find the women. So Putin is right up there, you know, top dog is the word that I'm getting. Very male energy, searching for the divine feminine energy there. It probably is there, but he's not presenting itself. He's not presenting it to the world. This crystal feels very, very linked to his energy. So let's just go into it. Right, let's see what we want to say about Putin. The main thing that's coming out screamingly straight away is the man's intelligence, which is off the charts. So extremely intelligent, very, very deep, very, very intense. I've written some questions down which I'm going to actually use for all of them, because I thought it'd be a different way to sort of get information. And these are the questions. The first question I'm asking is how would you feel if you were in a room with them? So how would I feel if I was in a room with him now? And because his picture's been on my desk for about half an hour and I've been trying to tune into his energy, because his energy's been with me for about the last hour, I felt it in my solar plexus. So our solar plexus is our power center, and I felt a weakening there within my power center. Also feeling it in my knees as well, you know. He's able to bring people down to onto their knees, and he's able to disarm core strength within individuals just by his very presence. His presence is very, I'm hearing the words authoritarian, controlling, domineering, but he's a very intriguing character, because the more that I look at him and the more that I look at this picture, the more that you can't write him off as just that. He does have those qualities about him, very ruthless. I can, you know, the eyes in particular are the windows to the soul, aren't they? And I'm looking into his eyes and he's not giving an awful lot away, but I'm hearing the word cunning. There is a devious quality there, but it is also very, very, there's a very high level of intelligence. I want to stress again that any of these words that might be coming through, which might sound negative, have to be viewed in terms of the fact that this guy is playing his role to perfection on the world stage, is doing exactly what he's meant to do, has a contract to be here like all of us do, and is holding one end of the spectrum. He's very loved, I believe, by many of his own country, by his people. And what's coming through is that, again, this very strong patriarchal figure energy, what they're used to, basically, is what I'm hearing. And to be led brings comfort for some, not all, obviously. What else is coming through? It's a very silly analogy, and I'm sorry to give it because it's not going to resonate with everybody watching this around the world. But I am an English girl, and my references are obviously from Britain. And there is this soap opera in the UK called EastEnders. It's one of the most popular soaps. Don't particularly watch it anymore myself, but there is a character in that called Phil Mitchell. And Phil Mitchell is actually, underneath it all, has a heart of gold, and is actually quite a family man and very loyal to those that are around him. But he has this other side to his personality where he will cross the line if he needs to cross the line, and he will take you out if you need to be taken out. And I'm talking about taking out in terms of life and death stuff. And he's very tough, very machismo, and he's sort of the one that rules the roost. So in the EastEnders soap opera, he's the one that rules the square, and people live a bit in fear of him, and you know, he'll ride in to sort things out. This guy's got a similar energy. The Putin energy is quite similar to that, and that's why he's quite interesting to read, because there are two sides to his character. He what he's wearing here is black and white, so I've actually chosen subconsciously to print this photograph out of him, which is black and white, which is the whole thing about duality. But supreme intelligence. Let's pull a couple of cards for him now, and I'm going to take them from this deck. And I'll just shuffle them on camera so you can see that I'm not manipulating, and that word manipulating does come through with him. But he's clever. There's the thing about, in the UK at the moment, there was the spy who's been poisoned, and people are, you know, our government is pointing the blame at Russia, and particularly Putin. In fact, I think our Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has actually come so far as to point the finger personally at Putin and say he sanctioned it, he ordered it. And then other people are saying, well, why would he do that? The World Cup is about to start in about a month. The eyes of the world are going to be on Russia. Why would he do that? He wouldn't do that because of the timing. I'm not saying whether he did or he didn't. I'm not being told that. But in a way, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a game being played there. Just because you think I wouldn't do it now, that's exactly when I might do it. It's sort of the energy that I'm picking up. Right, let's have 3 cards for Putin, please. Let's stop there. Number 1, victory. It's the card of victory, which is what he's just had. Number 2 is the card of hostilities. And number 3 is the card of the happy family. On the bottom of the pack is the card of caring connections. So it's sort of backing up what I did say about him, which is that he does have this side to him which is a lot softer than anybody probably knows about. Underneath it all, he is a family man, and personal connections are quite important to him. He dreams of the happy family. Whether or not he has it or not, I've no idea. I don't know his personal life. And actually there is a bit of a softy there underneath it all. I know he's always usually got a new girlfriend, or he's got a young girlfriend on the end of his arm. And I would imagine in a relationship, he's able to show a different side of himself and can actually be quite caring. Funnily enough, even though I know he has got a young girlfriend. I looked at her photograph the other day. It was strange because I wasn't viewing it in the same way that I might view an older man having a younger girlfriend, in terms of there didn't feel like there's anything that sleazy about it. Not that sleazy's not the right word, but all I'm trying to say is that there are older men out there who will just go for what I'm hearing, young flesh, you know, and it's all about, it's very, very sexual. And of course there is a sexual aspect to this, but underneath it all is actually the desire for love. There's actually a softy underneath there, but he shows it to somebody like that, not necessarily the world. So he's had his victory. He's got his victory. Against all odds, there he is. He's got another 6 years, but he's got some real hostilities around him as well at this time. And he feels, coming from this card, he feels as though he's the one that has to just go out and try and sort things out. And if you look at him, there's nobody else around him, okay? If that's him fighting his battle, and I'm hearing his private battles as well, his inner demons, there's nobody else there. There's nobody else's backup, you know? He feels as though he's doing it solo. He feels as though he's there on his own, doing it on his own, which is maybe a little bit dangerous, because when you don't, when you're completely out there on your own, what you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off. You don't have anybody else to get a second opinion off. It's just you and it's your judgment. And he's able to do that because he's got this sharp mind. When I say he's able to do that, in his eyes, in his world, he's able to go out there and battle everything because he relies on his mind. I just can't get away from this sharp mind that he's got, sharp intellect. Sharp is a word that I would use to describe him in all aspects. I would imagine he's got a sharp tongue. I don't know, because I don't speak Russian, so I've never been able to understand, you know, I've never heard him speak in his native tongue. But I would imagine he's got quite a sharp tongue, doesn't suffer fools gladly. When he doesn't give many chances either, second chances. When you're expelled from his presence, it would be done with precision. That's another word that goes with him, precision, sharpness and precision. Don't underestimate him. Cares deeply for his country. And above him, I will just pull in now because I want to, like, sometimes you get more depth when you've got a contrasting figure to look at. I've actually got Trump's picture here. Okay, this is the image of Trump. Just put them up so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so there's Trump. And here we've got Putin. And straight away, I'm hearing Trump saying, well, I don't like the fact that Putin's image is bigger than mine. But anyway, that is just what that is. Okay, let's see what we can get from looking at the two men together. They're actually quite similar in a lot of ways in terms of that they're putting their country first to the exclusion of everything else. It's like Russia first and it's America first. And the thing is, they're like these two pillars of masculine, it's like I need two crystals now, two pillars of patriarchal male energy. I'm right, you're wrong, and also, you know, my country is the best. There's not an awful lot of unity consciousness coming out from these two guys. They're quite well pitted against each other. They're quite well suited to each other. It's a very, very interesting dynamic between the two of them. Let's pull some cards out for Trump, because I have spoken quite a lot about Trump in the past, so there are other videos that I've done on him and his personality. But let's just see what's going on with him right now. And I don't want to get too much into the details of all of the comings and goings around the White House. To be honest, I can't keep track of it. I don't think Spirit can. In fact, Metatron was just having a little bit of a joke earlier. And the way that I would describe it is that you can have an archangel around you, a bit like a guardian angel. So for me, Metatron is always around me. He's one of my main guides. And of course, world leaders can have, you know, archangels or any of the ascended masters around them as well as their guide. Doesn't mean they're listening to them, but they are around them. And very much like our guardian angel can sometimes be exasperated by the fact that we don't listen. You know, we don't listen. They try and give us the signs. They try and give us the clues. And they can like be, you know, rolling their eyes in despair at us, but still loving us. Metatron was saying, well, you think you have a hard, you know, just think how hard it is for me sometimes, you know, to try and guide the likes of these two, okay? The one thing, again, I'm not being personal here, but it sounds personal, but I'm not meaning to be. It's just that with this photograph of Putin, I noticed that he's got quite small ears, okay? He's got quite small ears. And that says to me, what was coming through to me, is that, again, closed, don't want to hear anything, not willing to listen to anybody else. You know, it's all in my head. It's all in, I've got all the answers within my own self. Whether they're right or wrong is immaterial. This is what he thinks. Trump, on the other hand, actually, looking at this photograph of him, looks as though he's got quite large ears. It does look like he's got quite large ears. So he does listen. But they're interesting because Putin's like, he doesn't listen. He just doesn't listen, okay? So he does his own thing. He doesn't listen. Doesn't take counsel from anybody. Trump does, actually. He does. It doesn't mean he acts on it, but he does listen. So that's just a observation on the two. In terms of physical health, these two guys, has Putin had plastic surgery? I don't know, because sometimes you see pictures of his face and it looks quite stretched. In this photograph, it doesn't. It looks quite what I would regard as normal. He's a normal looking guy for his age. But I have seen other photographs where his face looks unusual. And I don't quite know what that's all about. But just looking at them facially, Putin health-wise feels quite strong. It's like I'm here for the long haul. I don't know, there's a real strength there, physically as well. I mean, he does come across like that, doesn't he? He puts those photographs up of himself, you know, like muscle man in the river and all the rest of it, riding a horse. And actually, I don't think that's a facade. I think that is actually a part of his psyche. He does have that strength, that physical strength. His heart is very... well, it's in there. There's a coldness. There is a coldness. Trump, on the other hand, and I've said this before, is in a they're just such interesting characters to read, actually, because I'm hearing the word, he is a bit of a people pleaser. He does try, he does want to please people. I know that sounds bonkers to some of you, because it's like, he doesn't please me. You know, nothing he's doing is pleasing me. But in his own mind, again, he does try to please people. He tries to get on with people. But of the two, his health is the more worrying. There's a real power battle here. Right, let's just pull 4 cards for Trump from the same pack and see what we get. Trump. 4 cards for Trump. So this is March the 19th. 4 cards for Trump. Base chakra showing as out of balance. Patience. He doesn't have any. The 7th chakra showing out of balance, which is the crown. And deceit. The card of deceit. On the bottom of the pack, storm warning. That's very... Oh, and underneath that is the world, a new beginning. Okay, let's just put Putin to one side for one moment, because he's just like looking on now. I almost want to say grinning. Right, Trump has both the base chakra out of balance, which is all to do with, it's your survival. You know, it's to do with money, it's to do with health, it's to do with relationships. It's to do with where you live, it's to do with security, all of them showing as out of balance. The 7th chakra, the crown, showing out of balance. That's your connection to spirit. He's a bit stumped here because he's got, you know, in spiritual terms, we talk about heaven to earth. And it's like he's in no man's land is what I'm hearing. There are some very strong warning cards around him here. In terms of his spiritual connection is blocked, which is why the 7th chakra is showing needing healing. He needs to unblock that 7th chakra. The crown chakra is blocked and his base is blocked. Somewhere in the middle is him. I would imagine he doesn't know whether he's coming or going, to be perfectly honest, because 2 very important energy centers within him, above and below, are both blocked. And when you've got that, what I'm being shown is there is no flow coming from, or there is, well, there's spiritual help trying to come in, but it's not, because he can't access it, he's not connected to it. And equally, all of the stuff inside of him, agitation, frustration, whatever, there is no release because the base chakra is blocked. So it's like this cauldron of energy that is bubbling up within him, becoming increasingly toxic, which is why we have the storm warning card. If you look at the picture of that, can you see it almost looks, these look a bit like the pillars of ancient Greece, you know, somewhere like the Colosseum. It feels as though this is very much the crumbling of empire, his empire. And underneath it all, we had the card of deceit. So I'm sorry, guys. I know some of you that follow me like him, and this is, you know, going to press a few buttons. But you see that I haven't manipulated that. This is what has come up. Deceit was sitting there. And the thing about this card of deceit, look at the energy of it. Look at the colour of it. It's the colour that's linked to the base chakra. It's linked to money. Okay, it's linked to money. He built his empire on money at the end of the day. And it feels as though money becomes his downfall. There's a trail of money somewhere, is what I'm feeling. He has also, though, I'm hearing, deceived himself. He's deceived himself in some way. or he has been deceived by somebody else. And I'm sort of looking at Putin here, who's just looking at me with this sideways, it does look like a bit like a sideways grin. We'll look at the relationship between these two guys in a moment. The card of patience feels as though that's for the world. Have patience. This story will play itself out, and ultimately we will get to the world. The world is the card of the completion of a cycle and the start of a new one, the creation of a whole new world. There are so many different ways that you can read it. You know, being fair to Trump, another way to look at this card of deceit and also linking into money could be the fact that he uncovers deceit within the country. He uncovers those who have been, I don't know, money laundering, who have been reaping reward and income and fortune through devious means. But it did come up linked to him, is what I would say. I didn't pull a card for America, I pulled a card for Trump, and the card of deceit came up linked to him. So, you know, I'm just wanting you to realise that there are different ways that you can interpret these cards. But patience is card number 16. And card number 16, the energy of 16 links into the tower that crumbles to make way for the new. The world, the card of the completion of that cycle, the completion of the tower having fallen and then it being rebuilt again, is number 29. 2 and 9 add to 11. So we've got Metatron's energy all over this. Again, I want to reiterate, Trump, Putin, any of them, they are all acting a role, a part that they are meant to play at this time on the earth to bring about the new. Let's see what the relationship is between these two guys. Wondering whether to take another pack, because I've got some of the main cards out here. I'll just take 2 from this pack, and then I think I'll take another 2 from another pack. So the relationship between Trump and Putin. Let's see what we get. Relationship between Trump and Putin. Relationship between Trump and Putin. Okay. Adjacent possibilities. Angel of Strength. Power battle. That's the power battle. 2 lions. I don't know what star sign Putin is, but obviously Trump is a Leo. That reminds me, it's a shame there aren't 2 lions in the picture, but in a way, this shows the lion as the ferocious animal, which it is, being baited, basically, and the angel around it trying to keep the peace, okay? Trying to keep the peace with this wild animal, untamed animal, that wants to just go in and do damage, basically. The card of adjacent possibilities shows there is many different ways that this relationship can play out. There are many doors, there are many avenues, there are many paths, but I'm hearing they all lead back to the same room. Complicated dynamics between these two, complicated hidden pathways between these two, many different ways that they could escape. Not quite sure where this is going, but somehow it all leads back to the same place. Let's pull another 2 cards from a different deck, and I want to see how Putin views Trump. How does Putin view Trump? With disdain is what I'm hearing. He feels that he is, Okay. He feels that he is morally inferior. Putin feels that Trump is morally inferior to him. I don't know whether there was any truth in it, but there was that thing, wasn't there, in the election that came up about Trump having, what did he do? Compared was it a Miss World competition or something in Russia? And there was a bit of, you know, sleazy potential behaviour that happened there, let's put it that way. I don't even know if it was true, whether it was fake news, whether it was made up, whether it was a smear, I don't know. Putin feels he's got the moral high ground for some reason. What does Trump feel about Putin? What does Trump feel about Putin? Doesn't trust him. Doesn't like him. Reminds him of a boy that bullied him at school. You stand up to bullies, is what I'm hearing Trump say. I'm going to get my own back. It's personal between these two. Very personal between these two. They're locked in a combat with each other, with their great nations behind them. I'll tell you what, thank God that angel's there trying to tame them. Back to the crystal. Something I could say, but it's rude, so I won't. But sort of like mine's bigger than yours type energy. Playground stuff. For two men who are both intelligent, because Trump is intelligent as well. Their shadow side is able to descend to the level of the playground, which is a crying shame for the world, because they're both better than that. Trump is easier to read. He's a bit of an open book. Putin isn't. Of the two, which one would I want to be in the room with? Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan. I'm just going to put that on record. So I'm just going purely on energy here. But Putin intrigues me. There is something very intriguing about his energy. There's something that's almost like not of this world about his energy. And the crystal I want to put with him as well is the galactic light being. So let's just try and tune in here a bit more. He isn't of this world. I'm being serious, he isn't of this world. Oh, he was like a commander in another galactic system. A very high-ranking commander. There's a coolness. I'm picking up a blue and a silver energy linked into this galactic origin. He's got galactic origins, this guy. Again, there was something in the news last week. I think he's planning on doing some manned mission to Mars or something, or some expedition to Mars. Doesn't surprise me. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. He is quite Martian, actually, in his energy, because Mars is the planet of war. I will rule. You will acquiesce. You will listen. But he does command respect. He should not be underestimated. There's still an aspect to him, linking into his energy, I still like the guy. I'm talking about the man here. Not talking about the deeds that he might have done, I'm talking about the man. I'm looking at both of them as men with a divine energy within them, which they both have. Has he overstepped his command? Yes, I'm hearing. He answers to no one on this earth. Of course he answers to God. But there is a galactic command above him, which view him a bit like a renegade. Is that the right word? There are times when he's gone a bit AWOL from his mission and they have to rein him back in. Now might be one of those times. Let's pull a card for him. I must say I find him fascinating, his energy. Putin. You have to be straight with him. He likes straight talking. He doesn't respond to anything other than that. Doesn't like games. I don't believe he's got a great sense of humour either. Imagine. Chop wood. Interesting cards. In his own way, he is wanting to bring peace. And this is very hard for some people to hear because the way the media portrays him isn't as a peacemaker. And there are things that he has done, which have definitely not been about that, which have been about war. But there is this other side to him. Imagine chop wood. It's the card of chop before enlightenment, chop wood, after enlightenment, chop wood. He's part of the divine plan. What does he think about Trump? Cards aren't answering it. Let me go back to a spray. I keep going back to these cards that Trump's got. Storm warning. Let's ask what this storm warning is about. Trump, storm warning. The storm will come when he least expects it. He will be unprepared. It is unstoppable. Does he stay in power? Does Trump stay in power? I don't think so. I'm actually seeing jail, but that doesn't have to be a physical jail. It could just be that he imprisons himself, so he becomes incapable of leading. And that might not all be his fault. It could be, you know, his party, it could be the Democratic Party just withdraws support from him and he basically is rendered unable to do anything. I'm seeing iron bars as if in jail. I can't believe he would physically be in jail, so I suspect it must be a symbolic image of being incapacitated and unable to perform duty. How does he feel about that? Furious. Absolutely furious. He'll go down fighting. What can we do during this time that is coming? What can we do during this time that is coming, Michael, Archangel Michael? Right, Michael, Archangel Michael is often shown with a shield, okay, a shield. And the shield is usually silver. And you usually have it sort of, you hold it here to protect yourself. And what he's showing me is that we all have protection around us, because it's all going to go a bit crazy in the world. Temporarily, there's nothing to worry about, it'll calm down again. It's temporarily, it's like there's a power vacuum is what I'm hearing. And Michael is asking us to hold our shield and to realise that the silver on the shield is it reflects. So anything that is thrown at us in terms of negative energy, whatever that means, can be returned to sender. So rather than you absorbing worry, stress, the chaos that's going on, it gets sent back. But actually what I'm hearing it gets sent back to is you're being asked to send it back to source. So there's like this amazingly beautiful well, white well, where everything can just be thrown into. It's not going to contaminate the light, because the light is always stronger and brighter, and there is nothing that can tarnish that. It's just like it eats it all up. It just absorbs it all the negativity, all the darkness, because other people will be almost get the energy of, see, look what you've created, look what you've done, look what we've done, look what happened. There's a lot of name calling and people pointing fingers of blame when this happens, which is what happens when you get a power vacuum, because no one's in charge. What comes in after the storm? What deck was this I used? The blue one, okay. What comes in after the storm? I don't feel Russia get involved in it, that's for sure. Very separate energy. Don't feel they get involved. What comes in after the storm with Trump? Whatever the storm is, what happens after the storm? I'm hearing the thing 40 days and 40 nights. I'm going to have to look that up. 40 days and 40 nights. Was that the thing about temptation, going into the desert? Let me just have a quick look. It may be that there's a period of time, 40 days and 40 nights, coming up for America. That's what I'm picking up. And it'll be a test of character. It'll be a test of character in terms of 5D living as well. Here we go. Oh, okay. It's linked into Moses. 40 days that Moses went up Mount Sinai to receive the law. Moses' life is divided into 3 sections of 40 years. Okay. There's quite a lot coming up here actually around the 40 thing. Sorry, this is important. I just need to get it right. The number 40 shows up often in the Bible because 40 appears so often in context dealing with judgment or testing. Many scholars understand it to be the number of probation or trial. 40 days means 40... In the Old Testament, when God destroyed the earth with water, he caused it to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, and obviously he came down, didn't he? And he received the 10 Commandments. Jesus, this is the bit that I was tuning into. Yeah, I was right. Jesus was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights, and there were 40 days between Jesus's resurrection and ascension. Right, it's significant then, isn't it? That 40 days, 40 nights thing that's just come through. There is a period after the storm, however the storm plays out, or 40 days and 40 nights, where I'm being shown Moses, and he left the tribe, didn't he? He went up the mountain, and they were left to their own devices. And if I'm sure I'm right in this is all going on memory here. Didn't they all turn to idolatry? And there was a lot of, as the Bible would call it, fornication. And yeah, they did. That's what it was all about. There was a lot of partying, and so bring it into modern day life, and it would just be it's sort of a period of chaos. But the thing is, the wise ones remembered that Moses had gone up the mountain to bring back the new commandments. Basically, there was a new set of commandments coming. Doesn't mean it's going to come from the next president of the United States. It just means this is all symbolic. This, because America is a big presence on the world stage, whether you're American or not, the demise of this empire brings forward a new chapter, it's more than a chapter. It's as significant as when Moses went up the mountain and came back and he received the 10 Commandments. So there is a new way to live life, and it's probably political life as well. You know, the old rules of deceit can't work anymore. It can't be, the whole thing's going to come down, basically, to be replaced by something new. So see Trump, whatever happens with Trump, see him in that light, that he was the one that brought this to a head to enable, ultimately, what's going to come in, which will be better. But it's going to take some time. Anything else? Yeah, there's just some funny energies around Trump. Got the card of envy now, and the card of love. Angel of love. There are angels around this situation. We had the angel of strength as well, didn't we? There's angels around this trying to help bring the world back to love, bring the country back to love, bring consciousness back to love. But we've got energies of deceit and envy that are coming up here. They've got to be healed. They've got to come to the surface. Let's go back to Putin. What happens with Putin going forward? Putin going forward. Putin going forward. Putin going forward. Not picking up a great deal. Let's see what the cards say. If Putin was a poker player, he wouldn't be revealing his hand. That's what I'm feeling. He's not revealing his hand. Can't see it, can't feel it, can't sense it. Putin going forward. Well, could interpret that any way you want. Daughter spirit. Does he stay on the earth? Daughter spirit is the daughter spirit. Doesn't always mean that with this card. And then we've got the card of yin yang. Male, female. Well, he doesn't have a lot of female energy. But yet we're living in times where we all have to embrace that. It's a bit like the 3D energy. We're all going to have to let it go. And if we don't let it go, we'll be forced to. At some point we will be forced to as a species. Another interpretation of this could be the daughter spirit is spirit coming in and communicating with him, helping him to somehow, seems so unlikely at the moment, but to be able to embody more of this divine feminine energy. Really? Let's have one more card for that. Oh, before I pull the card, the dove of peace with him going forward. Feeling there's this period of instability in the world, and like we're you know, looking for a strong leader. Whether you like him or not, he's a strong leader. He's been around for a long time. I said at the beginning, he gives his people comfort. Not all of them. Some of them hate him, I'm sure. But, you know, he's the figurehead. Right, I'm going to do one more person on this session. And it might seem a strange choice, but I'm going to go for Prince William. And the reason I'm going for Prince William is because he's young and he represents the future. And again, whether you like him or not, whether you like the royal family or not, doesn't matter. It's more the fact that he is going to figure in the future of this planet. He's one of the people that's going to be on the world stage. So I'm actually going to reshuffle the cards that I've used for Trump and Putin. And I'm going to use the same deck for William. We're going to have to do the other leaders another time. I could have done Prince Harry, but at the end of the day, Harry's not the one who's going to be king. And I just feel that William has got, I don't know, something, there's a reason why we're having to do him now. Let's just put all the cards back, make sure I've got them all in the pack. I want to give them a good old shuffle. And I think I'll better cleanse them with white light as well. So let's just do white light, just to get rid of Trump's energy, Putin's energy. Let's just look at William. This is the image I've got of William. Okay? Just maybe tune into that yourself for a moment. I'm not going to get into whether the royal family are part of the Illuminati or anything like that, reptilian stuff. Please remember what I said at the start of this video. Every single person on this earth has got a divine mission. Whatever side they work for, it's all part of the changing pattern of this planet. You have to have duality. And I'm not saying that is how I view the royal family either, by the way. I just know that there's some people who watch me that would have that view. Okay, a bit more white light, please, as the snow pours down. Right, before we pull any cards, I'm just going to shuffle the cards. I'm just going to go with what's intuitively coming through to me about William. Oh, sorry, there was a card that flew out. The card that flew out is the card of the sun. The sun. And as well as it being the sun that is in the skies as a big yellow blob of warmth and happiness, he is also the son of Princess Diana and Prince Charles. But he is Princess Diana's son, is the element that I'm interested in here. And she was this light bulb in the world. She radiated light, and she did a lot of good work. She did a lot of good work which to this day is still ongoing. The legacy of clearing minds, of her work with AIDS, many things. She was a deeply flawed human being like all of us, but she did a lot of good. And you could see that in the outpouring of grief after she died. She opened people's hearts. And he is her son. And card number 1. 1 is a new beginning. Okay, let's look at him. I know he's lost some hair, but he's got a very high forehead, and high foreheads usually denote intelligence. So again, okay, Spirit, they're saying he's got emotional intelligence. Something that the other 2 men that I just looked at don't have. I'm sorry, but they don't. That's what I'm feeling. Here, I'm looking at a man who has got emotional intelligence, which isn't the same as IQ. It's emotional intelligence. Funny that of all the pictures I could have picked of him, I've picked one from a magazine called GQ, and we're talking about IQ. British GQ. Right, William. He's very misunderstood. He's not actually this, he's not as complicated and as private as people make him out to be. That's what people always say about him, always very complicated, he's very private. He doesn't really want to be king. He knows he's going to be king. He's come to terms with it. I like his energy. Let's just pull a few cards from the same deck. Let's see what the cards say. He's like somebody I could quite easily, you know the thing about would you want to be in a room with them? Yeah, be quite happy to be in a room with him. Quite happy actually to go into the pub and have a glass of wine with him. Quite happy to sit down and have him in my house and have a cup of tea with him. He comes across as very normal, actually, for somebody who isn't normal. In terms of his position in the world, I mean. There's a lot of stuff written about him. A lot of it is not true that's out there. I've read all sorts of things about him, you know, that he's the Antichrist, that he's this, that he's that. No, he's a good man. I'm not picking anything negative up here. Let's see what the cards say. His heart is wide open like his mother's was. Oh, well, there's a card that's just flown out. Angel of Love. That's Diana, that's his mum. That's who's watching over him. She is watching over him. Let's have 3 cards for William. The Magician and the Mirror. Man holding a coin. And the Thinking Woman, that's Kate. Bottom of the pack, contract. This is his contract. He can't get out of that. Whether he likes it or not, he's going to be King of England. King of the UK. Let's not get myself into hot water here. King of Britain. He has a contract to fulfill in this lifetime. And fulfill it he will. And the contract is card number 6. 6 links into the planet Venus, which is the planet of love. He's going to try and fulfill his contract to the best of his ability. The Magician and the Mirror is about the power of manifestation. And it's with the Thinking Woman. The thinking woman could be his wife. In fact, it looks very like his wife. Look at that picture. Doesn't that look like Kate? See if that suddenly gets... Can you see that? That looks just like Kate Middleton. Very, very like her. So these two were meant to come together. He goes with his heart. She goes more with her head. So they're quite a good mix for each other. Man holding a coin. He's obviously wealthy. He's one of the most wealthy people in the world. Of course he is. He's part of the royal family. But here I'm feeling that he wants to do good with the money that he has. He'll use his position to do good. I want a card that goes with Magician in the Mirror. Don't quite understand why that's here in relation to him. He's asking us to look into our own mirror. He's asking the world to look into its own mirror and see the truth, is one interpretation. The Temple Path. Wow, look at that. I'm saying wow, look at that, because where Princess Diana is buried, which is on an estate which her brother owns, she's buried on this island, and I'm pretty damn sure there is a place that looks very like that on the estate. What's the estate called? It's not Blenheim. I don't think it's Blenheim. Can't remember what the estate's called. Oh, Althorpe. Althorpe House. Never been there. I'd like to go there. She's guiding him. She is guiding him. I'm going to put that up there next to her. Angel of Love and the Temple Path. That is Diana guiding him. He may well have had influences around him in this life which haven't been particularly savoury. Okay? I'm talking here about, you know, the elite. But she... Okay, one of the reasons she left the world was that she knew she could do more good the other side of the veil. And she knew that he would need her steadying hand. And in a weird way, it's a funny thing to say, but he takes more notice of her because she's in spirit than if she was here now, alive, probably with a bloke who maybe he didn't like or something like that. I'm not talking about Dodie, I just mean, you know, families, families press buttons, don't they? So, he'd have had problems with his adult mother, probably. She wouldn't have always been right. He wouldn't have always wanted to have gone to her counsel. She counsels him all the time. And it negates any negativity and darkness that he has around him in his life, in terms of other influence, whatever you want that to be. She's his guiding light. As is his wife. Shouldn't write his wife off as this clothes horse like people did with Princess Diana. His wife has a part in all this as well. Let's pull two more. William. Will I am, of course. Daughter value. He is linked into this storm warning. It's not his storm warning. This is collective. There's a storm warning coming for the world. This might be different. This isn't necessarily got anything to do with Trump, but of course we did have the card. This was Trump's card. This could just be there's a series of events that play out. And he's here as a good influence. He's got the sun. He's got the energy of the sun. Two other cards I just pulled out. Blossoming abundance and daughter value. Making people realise that they are valued. His work hasn't even begun yet, I'm hearing. You haven't seen who he is. Because he doesn't actually yet really know who he is. He will when his time comes. And he will rise to the challenge, I'm hearing. And that's not just wishful thinking. He will have Diana's divine feminine energy within him. He already does. But it will speak through him. You will sometimes hear her voice through him in public. And she's laughing now because she's here and she's saying, I struggled so much with public speaking. And she did. And she had to have all sorts of coaching for it. And she's saying, and now I'm the one coaching him. And she's laughing. But she's saying, I've progressed in spirit. Princess Diana. She's excited that his time's coming. She's laughing and saying he doesn't realise it's coming quite as soon as it is. But she's saying he's ready. I'm going to pick up this Merkaba, Princess Diana. He and Diana had a contract. You know when she said that she felt she would never be queen, but she said, I would like to be queen of people's hearts. There was a contract between her and William before either of them incarnated that he would take on the role and he would be the king of hearts. He would be actual king, but he would also be the king of hearts. Whilst around him, there are many who are the king of swords. And those of you that understand tarot analogy know where I'm going with that. The king of swords are more like the Putin type energy. They're very, I used the word sharp, didn't I? Sharp, precision, analytical, intelligence, black, white. This guy's not like that. He's heart-led. Diana is saying whatever they try and do to him to influence him will not work. He cannot be initiated into anything that is negative, that others feel is predestined for him if there was a negative influence. I will not allow it, and Spirit will not allow it. He will be untainted. He is untainted. And even if he has been tainted, it can be dissolved and will be dissolved upon coronation. The moment of coronation will see a flood of violet light flow down over this man, and it will remove any influence from the past that is negative. His moment of coronation will be very important for us as light workers to focus on him transmuting any lower energies. He'll be like the snake that sheds its skin. This might be Illuminati stuff. Maybe they think he is one of them, but he's not. He won't play the game. There's often one person in a family, and he's the royal family, who puts their hand up, and I say this in my individual work, and says, I'm breaking the chain. I'm stopping the dysfunction. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to carve out a new way. And he's the one in his family. Will he pay a price for that? Will he pay an individual price for that, being the one that stops it? I don't think so. I think he's pretty protected, this guy. He's protected in high places, but these high places are not of this world. They are of another world. So the ones that rule the world, that think they rule the world and they have the control, and they can protect you because they're in high places, is nothing compared to the high places that really exist within our world, which is right up there, you know, angelic, galactic, I'm not quite even sure, universal. Where does he come from? Where does he come from? I'm wanting to say Venus. I've got Putin from Mars. Venus. He's a Venetian. He's quite cultured in terms of, he likes the fine things in life, but by that I don't mean they have to be expensive. I'm talking art. I'm seeing Venetian, I'm hearing Venetian in terms of Italy, you know? Flair, art, music. He's a bit more highbrow than his mother was. She was very into all the 80s stuff that I probably like. Duran Duran and all of that. I mean, he does like that, but there's something a bit more cultured there. Very interesting. Let's do a final card for William from another deck. I haven't used the red deck, no. Let's do a final card for William. And then I think I'll leave it there for this video anyway. Before I pull the card, what does he think about the old patriarchal way? What does William think about the old patriarchal way? Let's call it Putin, let's call it Trump. He's very detached from it. He's not bothered by it. I'm seeing the energy around him is quite extraordinary. The energy around him, it's like nothing's touching him. He must be blessed, I guess, because it's like, how does he feel about them? I don't have an opinion. He's in this cocoon. Oh, he's gestating, is what they're saying. It's like an egg. You know, like an egg when it's about to break out? Well, nothing's going to interfere with that process of gestation. He's in a process of, it's like he's in the womb. He can't be touched. To be fair, he's going to be fair. He's going to be very, very fair. And he's going to mend. He's going to bring healing. And he's also got the card of Imagine. So he's also got that card of world peace. He's a peace bringer. He's going to mend situations and people. And he's going to do it fairly. Got two cards here. Both have got the scales of justice. He's going to bring balance back. He's going to help bring balance back. How he does that, I have absolutely no idea. It could just be by physically being here. I'm a great believer in that. You know, when I train people and, you know, we link into Metatron's energy, for example, and it's like, well, how do I spread Metatron's light? And Metatron says, just be present. Just walk your light around the planet. You know, stop overcomplicating it. Just be here, be present. We forget the power of one person being present. Okay, let's have a let's see if Metatron's got anything final to say to us before we close this down. All will be well, he says. Metatron is reminding me that one of his things that he's known as is the grand orchestrator, as I start to do this with my hands. And what the grand orchestrator does is he conducts the orchestra, okay? He's the conductor of the orchestra. And so what is happening on our world stage at the moment, whether it's to do with Putin, Trump, whoever, is orchestrated by spirit. It is supposed to be happening. And it's like some of the notes need to be sounded a bit higher, some of them need to go a bit lower. And sometimes there is silence that is needed and a pause before the whole thing builds up again and then it goes down. But the one in control of it is spirit. And spirit knows when the symphony has finished and the symphony is not finished, and the symphony will continue. We're like at the moment, I wish I knew more about classical music, but it's like I'm hearing a piece of classical music in my head and it's like, it's like really coming up to a like crescendo. It's like, whoa! Oh, it's like, oh. And then we will come back down again, okay? But the one who conducts it is the Metatron energy. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's like I'm swimming. Maybe that's what we have to do, we just have to swim. And actually we're swimming and I'm doing breaststroke. And breaststroke is about engaging the heart, going into the heart with all of this, okay? Remembering that all these people we've talked about today, they are all serving the divine plan. And they all have within them both light and dark, as do we. Hope that's helped. I found it interesting. Don't know about anybody else. Next time, I will look at the ones that I haven't had time to look at, and I think probably the one that's leaping up and down saying, why haven't you done me, is particularly Canada's Justin Trudeau. But we'll do him soon. Might even go straight into it, I'm not sure. Might go and grab a coffee and then go into part 2. But I'm going to get this uploaded now. Much love everyone. If you've enjoyed my work, you'll find me on amandaellis.co.uk. And my Facebook page is Angelic Celestial Colours. All my workshops for 2018 are up on my website under courses. I'm coming to New York, I'm coming to Canada, I'm going to be in the UK, I'm going to be in the south of Ireland. And you can always find me on my Facebook page or here on my YouTube channel. Much love, take care, love you all, bye.